Warning, we are not trained or licensed professionals. Do not take any advice that we give as official doctoral prescribed medical treatment. We only use the name as a means to appreciate cinema as a therapeutic device, not to be confused with drugs, antidepressants, or any other forms of enhancements that you might find in legal states. Please enjoy responsibly.
Additional disclaimer. If the film says we can say it too. So check the film rating, and that will be our episode rating.
Hello.
Welcome back to Film Therapy, everyone.
It's always a pleasure to have you come back.
It's an exciting day here today.
As it always is.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
We have our first guest today on Film Therapy. It's such an honor to be able to have him here. And we will discuss an awesome film today.
Yes, so as far as our guest, you can't explain him, you can't predict him, but he is the one and only Extreme, Mr. Davis.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Welcome, Davis.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
So, Davis, we kind of had talked about you in some of our other episodes. We mentioned that
yes.
You were kind of part of, the Extreme for one, and we've talked about your mother, Judy, and how kind of we all met at film school when you and Jake met, and then how you and me have been friends / family for a long time, and that's just kind of how we all came together. So, Davis and I met, has it been 13 or 14 years ago now?
Damn.
And
going on 15 almost.
Oh my goodness, so long. And we lived in the same town in Nebraska, and he became really close friends with my brother, and his mom became really close friends with my mom, and we just always did everything together. And eventually Davis went to film school, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun, I'm gonna do that too. And then there we met Jake. So that's how it all works out, comes together for us.
It was at that point that we all met at film school that things really started happening. I mean, you guys definitely had a really strong friendship, but then once you met me, it just escalated onto a different level of
Precisely.
transcendentness.
It was Jake's existence that made Maddie and I such close friends right off the bat.
I always knew that. Thank you for confirming it.
Absolutely. And so, Davis, do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about who you are?
Thank you, Davis.
Sure. So I'm currently living in Denver, Colorado. I am a full-time video editor and assistant camera on various commercials that are focused on outdoor sports, action sports, and a couple of films as well.
So cool.
Fantastic.
Love it. It's awesome. Yeah, he gets to do some crazy stuff. He's always in the mountains shooting awesome videos and running around the snow and getting free merch and stuff. It's awesome.
It's pretty tiring.
Yeah, I bet. How was work today?
Work was good.
Yeah.
We did some shooting for a ski company and just copped a pair of skis. So now
Hell yeah. Woo.
I can't come up with excuses as to why I can't follow my boss on his dangerous snow routes.
Oh no. He's going to expect you to do it all now.
Precisely.
Shit.
I gotta get learning.
Oh my god, no. Yeah, I wonder if all the ski resorts will be opening up on time this season.
Yeah, I know a lot of the hotels, at least in the mountain towns and the resort towns, those are open.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll have some kind of social distancing guideline for ski lifts and stuff like that. I'm sure they'll be open. There's just too much money in it.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
My cousin just started at CSU, and he loves to ski, so I'm hoping for him that he can go skiing a lot, because he's from Missouri, so he's going to get some real skiing experience now living in Colorado.
Oh, really? CSU?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This week we watched Jake watched this movie recently. Davis,
Today, actually.
When was the last time you watched this movie?
I watched this movie last week, actually.
Oh, great. Okay. I
Nice.
watched this movie last year, but I've seen it a lot of times.
I couldn't
And-
even count how many times I've seen this film.
I
Yeah,
know.
same.
It is Twister. The film is Twister this week, and I'm so excited to talk about it because it was one of those childhood movies that really like I watched all the time with all my friends. I wanted to show everybody Twister so we could like pretend to be in Twister and
Yes.
like play Twister, you know. And it's so good. We like learned about it
Oh, yeah.
and analyzed it in one of our film classes. We all took the same film class where we analyzed this movie, and it's really a work of art.
Yeah.
The
Everything you
script
just
is
said.
truly overlooked. I never really realized because I thought the whole movie was kind of cheesy and the dialogue was cheesy. I mean, the dialogue is cheesy, but it was not until that class that we broke it down that I realized how cleverly this was written.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Definitely. So, Jake, you rewatched it today. How did you feel?
It was absolutely as enthralling and entertaining as it always is.
Yes.
The last time I'd seen it before today was in the class itself, and I was sitting in the. I'm sure you guys remember. I was sitting in the back of the room, and that was like where the rear speakers were, so the sound effects just came through so clearly, and it actually made me appreciate the sound design of the movie even more. So watching it this time on my smaller TV, it made me be like, oh man, I miss hearing like the sounds of nature being so overpowering.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I've only watched it on a crappy TV too. So.
Well, VHS is the best way to watch every movie, so.
Their tornado sound effects are insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was
all
just-
manipulated animal sound effects as well.
Oh
It's like
man.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about all the cool effects that they did and everything. It's just so awesome. Like I've never seen a movie like Twister where it's about tornadoes, it's about natural disasters, and they just have created all of these storms and created all of the debris and everything that comes with it, and all the effects of like the cars spinning around on the road, and just like them like driving through a whole house on the highway, you know. It's just so cool, and I really have learned to appreciate it.
Yeah, it's incredible what they do. It's just in the visual department and the sound department. Twister was actually the first feature film to use a particle simulation for their visual
really?
effects.
Wow.
So the software and technology they used for the tornadoes was developed for the film. And
Whoa.
it's that same technology that's used in particle simulations today.
And like now
Which-
we can use it to like make fake snow in like simple videos and everything, and like fake fireworks and stuff, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Whenever-
now it's really simple for us, but that's cool that
Yeah.
it was made for that. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Any film you see with any kind of particle simulation, they have Twister to thank.
Yeah. So this
Yes.
came out in 1993,
No, 1996.
1996. My bad. And so I don't know. That seems like late or early because I started watching it when I was a kid and probably in like the early 2000s, of which I don't really know why I started watching it. I guess we had it on DVD. Maybe my parents liked it and they bought it and we started watching it. But it just seems like a weird time for that to come out and for me to feel such a connection to it because I was born in 95.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys born in 98 and 99.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it feels like I don't know, it's just weird. Like I feel like there's like a generation where we all appreciate Twister and it's kind of in like our same age group, which is, I don't know, I just find it kind of weird.
Yeah, it seems like so many of us watched it for the first time when we were so young, and that might contribute to just what kind of an impression it left on us versus, maybe two generations before us that might not find it so endearing. In fact, I remember the first time I watched Twister, and I don't even remember the first time I watched Jurassic Park. But I distinctly remember watching Twister for the first time and the way it made me feel.
Wow. I don't remember the very first time I watched Twister, but I do remember around the time I first saw it, they were playing it on like TNT all the time. Like, because I remember I saw it in this place I used to live in, like this old apartment, and we didn't even live there very long. And when we had Dish, they had a little section where you could do like 5 or 6 favorite channels, and I added TNT to the roster just because they played Twister all the time. And I've always remembered that. I don't know why. That's my earliest memory of watching Twister is having set it to the favorite channel just because I'm like, I know Twister's going to be on, so.
That's great. So for anyone who hasn't seen Twister, I can probably do a quick recap, if that's all right.
It's fine by me.
I will get into it. So,
describe this movie for us.
Here we are. The film begins with a flashback of a family with a father, mother, and a girl, and a dog going into a storm shelter during a tornado, and the father getting sucked out into the tornado and unfortunately perishing. And the little girl, her name is Jo. And then we flash forward to the present day in Oklahoma, where the character Bill Harding, who is played by Bill Paxton, is trying to get his tornado hunter wife, Jo, the little girl, but she's an adult now, who's played by Helen Hunt, to sign their divorce papers so that Bill can marry his fiancée Melissa, who is played by Jamie Gertz. When Bill and Melissa arrive at the tornado chasing site, Jo distracts Bill by showing him his idea for a tornado analyzing device that has been realized and built. And it's called Dorothy. It's a giant metal barrel with little sensors inside to track the movement of the tornado. And altogether, they have made 4 of these. So Bill gets really excited. And before Jo has time to sign the papers, they get a warning for an F1 tornado that's approaching. And the tornado scale is F1 through F5, with F1 being the least scary and dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then Bill's rival team shows up, who is led by Jonas Miller, played by Carrie Elwes. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
That's how I've grown up pronouncing it.
Elwes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Who he is in it for the money, not the science. And they have a device very suspiciously similar to Dorothy, which they call DOT. And
Son
along
of
the
a
way, Bill's team attempts to release Dorothy into various spinning, terrifying tornadoes, but fails every time. But luckily, so does Jonas's team. And Bill and Melissa's relationship takes a toll when they are eventually split up into different cars, and Melissa overhears Joe's and Bill's conversation about their feelings for each other. So at one point, the team visits Joe's Aunt Meg in a small town called Waukeeta, Oklahoma. And they also have to respond to another tornado warning, this time in F4, and it demolishes a drive-in theater where Melissa decides that this life is too dangerous for her and lets Bill and Joe kind of do their tornado chasing thing. So she breaks up with Bill and leaves. And unfortunately, the tornado heads straight to Waukeeta, where they have to save Aunt Meg from her toppling house after the tornado obliterates the town. So during downtime, Bill figures out a better solution for Dorothy by making aluminum pinwheels and attaching them to the sensors for better flight. After a few hours, an F5 tornado pops up on the radar. Bill and Joe attempt for the 3rd time to use Dorothy, but it gets knocked over, spilling all of the sensors out. They then see Jonas driving toward the tornado and try to warn him that he's getting too close. But he doesn't listen, and he and his driver are killed. So Joe and Bill now use the last of their Dorothys and put their truck on cruise control, jump out of the truck while they drive straight into the nadir. Then they celebrate, but quickly realize they need to take cover. So they find a barn house and attach themselves to some pipes while the tornado flies directly over them and kind of lifts them up inside. But it soon dissipates, and afterwards the team rejoices, and Bill and Joe share a loving kiss, rejoicing their new research and new relationship. The end.
That was amazing.
Yes, so that's just a quick recap in case you haven't seen it. And if you haven't
seen
it,
you should go see it. You should stop watching 3 minutes ago and then go watch it and then come back.
Right. Spoilers. The timing of the whole movie is great because it's like it goes from an F1 to an F2 to an F3 to an F4 to an F5 basically throughout all the tornadoes, and so it escalates every time and it gets scarier and scarier, but also it's a lot of like what we learned in film school, like hope and fear, hope versus fear. You know, we're hoping that they can get the sensors from Dorothy inside the tornado, but we fear for their lives and for everyone being attacked by the tornadoes. And I think it's a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
So Davis, I know that you love storms and tornadoes. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your storm chasing days?
So my interest in severe weather and storm spotting and all that actually came from Twister. When I was really young, I actually had a huge fear of storms, and it was actually so intense that when I was probably 6 or 7, if I saw a cloud with just like the single slightest bit of gray on its underside, I would freak out because I would think maybe there's like a storm coming.
Mm-hmm.
But then after just watching Twister so much, it kind of made me think like, wow, these storms are like super cool.
Yeah.
I decided to just go out and take some pictures, learn how to do long exposure shots, and just I kind of went out there wanting to recapture the feeling I did when I watched Twister for the first time. Obviously, it's a very different experience to be exposed to very dangerous weather versus watching it on screen, and it's not quite as enjoyable, but it's still inspired about a decade's worth of interest and research, and
Mm-hmm.
the only handful of times that I've seen tornadoes in person still bring me back to watching Twister for the first time.
Yeah.
Twister does do a good job at that on that very first tornado scene where you can see the F1 through the trees initially.
Mm-hmm.
While Joe and Bill are arguing. It does do a pretty decent job of capturing the feeling of actually seeing a tornado for the first time, because it was a very similar feeling to actually be in the presence of one.
It's so scary and fascinating at the same time. Like, I have recurring nightmares about tornadoes all the time, and that's like the only thing I have recurring dreams about is tornadoes. And it started when I was really young. Even before I watched this movie, I would have this same dream about a tornado, and yeah, it's like exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The insane score that, I don't want to butcher the name, but I think it's Mark Mancina does the score. I'm gonna check on this real quick. Yes, Mark Mancina, who I actually don't know his work outside of Twister, but truly his enthralling scores are almost an extension of the tornado itself. Like, you never really, and initially when it's bringing you into this world as an audience member, I don't think without that score you would be quite as enthralled by a tornado if we just had those giant monstrous sound effects right off the bat. But instead it builds us up with this terrifying choir.
Oh.
Yeah.
Chills. Yeah, that really makes a difference.
Twister is a very interesting movie because it had a really the production of Twister, you could almost write a book. I don't know if anybody's written a book about it yet, but just like making Twister could be a book, because it's just all the convoluted issues and craziness that just went on during set.
Really?
I remember watching a video that it was the first day of production, and the night, or I guess the night before the first day of production, the whole set had been hit by this tornado warned supercell in real life, and it put all their equipment and stuff at risk because they were getting hit by this like actual tornadic storm.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And just all of the drama on set with the director, I might butcher his name, but Jan de Bont. It's just notoriously difficult to work with. I believe he pushed an assistant cameraman like into the mud at one point.
Wow.
But what an interesting guy. He's directed quite a lot of movies. I was watching his movie with Keanu Reeves, Speed.
Okay.
It's crazy how similar those two movies are.
Really?
In terms of how the ending unfold, like the ending of Speed and the ending of Twister are so similar.
Whoa.
And like the camera angles they use at the very end with couples lying down, it's so similar.
Whoa.
It's such a funny little throwback. Although I guess Speed is older than Twister by 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
It's great. Speed is great. Yeah, it's got Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, I think.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was one of Sandra Bullock's early performances.
Yeah.
But
And
you
Jeff
can
Daniels is in
definitely-
it too.
Oh, he is. I forgot about that. He was his partner early on.
Yeah.
An interesting little tidbit about the insanity of Twister's production is when we think about the screenplay, I feel like for the most part we think about, I guess, Michael Crichton and Anne Marie Martin, I believe was the co-writer.
Yeah.
But what not a lot of people know is that Joss Whedon had worked on the script, and he actually
really?
worked on quite a lot of it.
Oh, wow.
And he revised a bunch of, I guess, technical aspects of the script, and he said that he turned the script into the production during his wedding day, and he said that a combination of him getting married and turning in his Twister revisions made it like the happiest day of his life.
Oh my god.
Aww.
But he's not credited in the film as one of the writers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And
I like that.
The writer for other films that Spielberg has been associated with, Jeff Nathanson, who wrote Catch Me If You Can and a few other Spielberg films,
Okay.
wrote quite a few pages for the film, or for the screenplay, and when he turned them in, the director essentially just entirely ignored all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I do believe he is credited as a writer, regardless of that none of his pages were actually used.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Wow.
That gives me hope. That's crazy that he's credited and not Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very crazy. I think he also wrote The Lion King
Oh, okay.
and one of the Pirates films.
Ooh. We were just talking about that last week.
Yeah.
I've been I rewatched the first Pirates of the Caribbean and part of the second one.
Yeah, and a lot of people I know are actually rewatching them, and I've been meaning to rewatch them too.
It's very fun.
Are they
Yeah.
on Disney Plus?
Yep. DePlus.
DePlus Davis. That's what it's called. All 5 of them are, I think, which I haven't even seen past the 3rd one. So
I think I've seen all of them, but I'm not positive.
I think I started the 4th one and didn't finish it. I think that's more accurate.
Gotcha.
But I don't remember if it's because I didn't like it or because if it was really late. Because this was around the time it came out on DVD.
Oh,
So,
okay.
It was 8 years ago, something like that. So.
That's fair. I think I kind of fell asleep during the most recent one I watched, which might have been the 5th one. I don't know.
Yeah, Davis, for context. So if you ever watch How It Should Have Ended on YouTube, they have the videos of Superman and Batman talking in the cafe. And in one of the videos, they're talking about streaming services, and Superman calls it Disney Plus. He calls it DePlus. So my friend Tuan and I watched that video, and then now we always call it DePlus. And then Maddie, I called it DePlus just by habit on one episode, and Maddie was like, "What the hell is that?"
I'm like, what are you talking about?
And so I explained it. So that's why it's DePlus.
There's on this shampoo bottle in my shower. Do you know how shampoo is always also in French?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So there's there's a part on there that says de plus. And I always think of de plus when I look at it.
I knew you were going somewhere with that. But when you start talking about shampoo, I'm like, yeah. So let's delve further into shampoo and soap and something that's totally off topic.
So sorry.
Oh yes, I went into Bed Bath and Beyond yesterday and I saw this shampoo. It just looks so divine. I wanted to buy it. It smells so fresh.
Oh Lord, it was related, okay?
I know. I was waiting for the relation, but until then, I'm like, where's this taking us?
Lord. Okay, so back to Twister. So for me, I think always when I watched it, the scariest part for me was when the F4 tornado hits at the drive-in, where they're watching The Shining, which is also a scary movie. So maybe that contributes to how scared I was. But also when they go into the shelter, but the character named Preacher gets that hubcap in his forehead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or whacked across, that really freaked me out, and it's he's just in shock. I guess it's his performance is really good during that part because he's just like, he doesn't even know what hits him. He's like, oh my god, ah, and he just starts bleeding, and Joe runs over to him and helps him. I think he ends up living, but right.
Yeah.
Yes, he ends up surviving. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
but
kind of brush off his injury almost. I don't know. I mean, they wrap him up in a Band-Aid, and then he's got his dog, or I guess Aunt Meg's dog.
Oh yeah.
He's okay.
Therapy dog.
Little golden retriever Mose. So cute. I love him.
Yeah, I remember that scene mostly because I had never seen The Shining, and I had never heard of The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering what on earth they were watching. I thought this is the most... Because I was very sheltered to scary movies, so I was thinking, like, what is this horrible, horrible film that they're watching? This woman is just so terrified. Is she gonna die? Like, who's that guy with the axe? What is he doing?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And little Danny,
seeing the girls in the hallway,
seeing the twins. Yeah, it's just like he's just like looking there dumbfounded, which is not scary to us as we're watching Twister, but to those who had seen The Shining before, they're like, oh, this is iconic, you know, and we're just like, what the hell, this kid is weird.
We're so bewildered by that scene just because of that, them watching The Shining.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that like all relates to us becoming film majors.
Well, it's definitely the reason I watched The Shining.
Yeah. This was in Twister. Honestly, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, I really think that, like, I mean, that's why we're all here talking about Twister, because if it wasn't for this movie, none of us would probably be film majors, you know? It had such a huge impact on all of us.
It was really great.
Mm-hmm. Definitely started 2 lifelong obsessions for me.
Yeah, and Davis, we brought you on here because obviously you're our friend and you're really awesome, but also because you're kind of the expert on not only this movie, but, like, storm chasing, too, because you've had, like, that experience and stuff. So.
He has like all the equipment and everything, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What's bewildering to me is if you compare Twister to where technology and access to information was much more limited then versus now, where you have films like Into the Storm or Geostorm, right? Which
I was waiting for you to
bring that up. To me are sins of the film world, and. And even films like Day After Tomorrow, which I wouldn't consider a bad film, it's just crazy how inaccurate those storm-centered movies are. A little less with Day After Tomorrow, because that's kind of focused on like the perfect storm that wouldn't happen anyways, but especially with films like Into the Storm and just how much information and how much misnomers there are throughout that whole film. Versus Twister, where in terms of the jargon they're saying with weather is entirely accurate. Like all of that, and it took me a long time to like learn this and like watching actual storm chasers do their thing and learning all the phraseology. But there's nothing in that film that they say about tornadoes or about storm chasing that's inaccurate. It's all very whoever they vetted the script with knew what they were talking about.
Nice.
There's actually only one instance in that film where I think they weren't very realistic in their dialogue, which was at the scene after they had showcased Dorothy and they had major action. They had to go drive out right away, and they were, Bill's trying to catch up in his truck. And Joe is talking to, I think it's Rabbit through the radio system, and she says, "Can we do better than the 30?" Which struck me in the later years of watching the film, and then I had a discussion with our screenwriting teacher, because people that live in Oklahoma or just anywhere in this part of the country don't refer to interstates as the 30. That's the giveaway that it was written by people that live in Los Angeles who commute to work on the 405.
Oh, the 405, yeah. Because we wouldn't call like Interstate 80 like the 80.
Yeah, no. Or the 25. We call it I-25 or just 25.
Yeah.
And I've personally never met anybody, this is totally serious. I've never met anybody that lives here or anywhere that calls interstates by that name.
Yeah.
Except for my parents, who refer to California interstates as that because my dad used to live in California.
And in Phoenix, they refer to the the highways as the 101.
So it must be a very kind of more further out west thing where it seems
Yeah.
like the times that I've been to California and Los Angeles, just all of Southern California, perhaps I guess there's just more notoriety with specific roads. Like everybody knows the 405,
Mm-hmm.
but like I feel like there's not a whole lot of hubbub about the 80 or
Yeah.
the 25. I mean, there's so many different roads out here that are just kind of insignificant.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing about Twister, the writing in Twister that struck me as like I don't think that's completely accurate, especially if you watch films like or if you watch documentary series like Storm Chase or anything like that. They never say that.
Like
They'll
the
never
30.
use terms like
Yeah.
that. Right? You'll never hear them say something like that.
That's funny. Yeah. Nice. Good catch.
That's amazing.
My boyfriend Noah was talking about this film that I was telling him we were going to talk about Twister, and he said he's never seen Twister, but he's seen this other movie. Let me look it up real quick. It's based in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Oh, is it Night of the Twisters?
Maybe. Yes.
Oh, that sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Night of the Twisters.
Night of the Twisters. Yep.
Night of the Twisters.
And I'm
No
like,
one saw it coming.
I don't know if that's better than Twister, but so that was
No
in
movie's better than Twister.
That was also in 1996. So
Oh,
I think.
Oh, really?
Let me see. Night of the Twisters film. It's based on a 1984 young adult novel.
yeah, I wrote it.
Yeah, 1996.
I think it's all on YouTube.
Oh, really?
That's how I watched it initially. It was all uploaded on YouTube.
Wait, Davis, are you recommending Night of the Twisters? Is that
No.
any good?
No.
It's not a bad movie, but it's not like I'll never watch it again.
I can't believe that's the only thing Noah has seen. But I guess it is based in Nebraska. Yeah, so growing up in a small town in Nebraska, tornadoes were such a real thing, and like a real worry for us growing up there. And because every summer we would have tornado drills every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and the sirens would go off, and it would like really startle you if you kind of forgot what day it was, And
Yep.
I've never lived anywhere since that has some sort of natural disaster warning like that.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, they don't do it, and they don't even do it up where my parents live, and they live just north of Weld County, Colorado, which interesting coinkydink. Regardless of it being in Colorado, Weld County in the last 25 years has more tornado sightings than any other county in the country.
Oh my god!
Wow.
And they don't have tornado warnings.
Yeah, they don't do any of they don't do the siren tests
Or
and
drills. Yeah.
In 2015, the very city where my parents live now was actually hit by an F3 tornado.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Or I guess EF3, because we're now in the enhanced Fujita scale.
Ooh, what does that mean?
It's enhanced.
So now the enhanced Fujita scale has changed the way tornadoes are rated, and I'm not sure how long the enhanced Fujita scale has been a thing. It's certainly been a thing since after it wasn't a thing when Twister came out, but now they rate tornadoes based on their damage and not their wind speed.
Oh.
So it could be a tornado with 300-mile-an-hour winds, but it could stay in an open field, and that would be an F0.
Oh wow.
Or it could be a tornado with 120-mile-per-hour winds, and it goes through a town and wrecks 3 houses. It could be an F3.
Interesting.
Or
I wonder why
EF3.
they chose to do it that way. I guess because to warn more accurately the people.
Potentially, it might also be to acquire more funding from FEMA or other relief resources. If they say it's it was an F1 because it had 100-mile-an-hour winds, but it destroyed 2 houses. Maybe the government would be potentially less willing to fund that versus if they said it destroyed 3 houses, which means it's an F3, so we need this much money to repair our city.
Okay.
Potentially.
That makes sense.
That was just my thought on it. I truly have no idea, so don't quote me.
They're in it for the money, not the science.
Son of a bitch.
What's really silly is I no longer agree with Bill's argument on that. because they're in it for the money, they're gonna have like better like data recording instruments, even if they did just totally steal it. Because like if you're not getting in today's age, or in any age, if you're not getting a corporate sponsor, like you're not gonna have the best technology to make the most progress on the basis of science.
You're going to be cutting up soda cans and using that as equipment.
Right, it's like people get mad at Colorado using their Green Energy Foundation. They get sponsorships from the marijuana companies here.
Oh yeah.
Right,
but I mean, without them.
Yeah, but then when you get a corporate sponsor, I mean, isn't that just the same thing as selling your soul? Like, really?
I suppose, as anything corporate would be, as anything related to money would be.
True. It's a generalization, though.
That quote is one of the most memorable things about Twister. Is just that whole monologue.
Davis, I'm sure you have some, but like, what are, besides that amazing monologue about the Nightcrawler, what are some of your favorite Twister quotes? They don't have to be inspiring; they can be hilarious too. So, obviously, we know the one.
One lesser known, lesser popular quote is when Bill is assaulting Jonas at the parking lot of like that Denny's or wherever they were at, going, "You stole my design, you son of a!" And one of Jonas's cohorts looks at Bill and says, "What's your malfunction, man?" like what's wrong with you? And
I did not notice that.
I just think that is a absolutely ridiculous quote, and I've used it previously, and my mom and I say to each other every now and then, because we just think it's such a funny quote to say, "What's your malfunction, man?"
Like, what's your damage?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's my new favorite movie quote, and I'm going to use
90s.
that in general conversation as often as I can.
That's so funny.
Hunt down that scene and you will find that quote. It's very funny.
That's awesome.
There's actually a video on YouTube, but I think Rob Hoyle, and I promise you, I'm just remembering that's his username, and it's called Jonas, son of a B word. I don't know what I'm allowed to say here.
Yeah,
yes, you can say it.
Okay, it's called Jonas, son of a bitch, and it's like a 3-minute video, and it's just compilations of Bill saying things and Twister, but it's played in such a way that it's very funny, where they'll like stuff will be repeated, certain quotes will be restarted and then restarted right afterwards, but in different parts of the quote. It's a huge laugh, and
Well,
I remember my friends and I watching that video the week before Bill Paxton passed away.
Aww. May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Gone but not forgotten. Philip Seymour Hoffman as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Rest in peace.
And I remember Jake and I were watching something that had the actor Melissa Jamie Gertz in it, and what were we watching that she was in? Was it Lost Boys? Oh, it was The Lost Boys.
Yeah, because she's the mom, right?
No, she's like another
she's
girl.
Isn't it Michael's girlfriend, like the vampire
Something
girl?
like that, yeah. And
yeah,
I remember we were like, is that Melissa? And then you're like, oh, that looks like fun. I think I'll tag along.
Yes.
And that's what she says in Twister. And yeah, she gets herself into some trouble there.
Well, I have a story about that quote.
Okay.
So I watched this movie twice in school, actually, and both times were like they were like a couple of years, like 5th grade and 6th grade, so like one after the other. In 5th grade, it was science class, and then I forget how, but somehow I ended up bringing my DVD of Twister into school, and we watched it for the day. And then after it was we like went out to recess or something, and one of my friends and I just like he couldn't get over that Melissa says, "I'm gonna tag along." So now that's like a running joke between us. It's just that quote.
Oh my god. That looks like fun. I think I'll tag along.
I find this kind of interesting.
Oh, Melissa.
And then right after that is Jonas, son of a bitch.
It
it's
is.
It's two perfect movie quotes, one after the other.
Oh,
what
gosh.
other movie does that? I'm sure you can think of plenty, but you know what I mean.
SpongeBob, any episode.
Well, but that's TV.
All right.
I guess there is a SpongeBob movie, but
Yeah. Jake, when you grew up, did you have any ever tornado warnings?
we had one that I remember distinctly. I was really young. I want to say I was like 8 years old, I'll say, give or take. And there was, because since we're in Wisconsin, we don't have as many. But there was one where it was like near the end of the school day, we went down into the shelter because there was like a sighting close by, or
At school.
yeah, at school, and it was like the most intense thing ever because I'd never been, because we went into like one of the locker rooms or something, and I'd never been down there, and like it wasn't just our class, like the whole like elementary was down there, and it was just terrifying. And then I remember like we were down there because school got out around like 3:30, and we were down there till after 4, and then my dad came and picked me up, and then when we got home, I think we just had the news on because we didn't know if it was going to come back or not. And I don't really remember, but I know it, like, it came on the TV and said there's like a warning, so we went downstairs. But I feel like I looked out the window and I saw something, but I don't remember what it was, and it really bugs me that I can't remember it specifically. But like vaguely I remember like looking out, because where we live there's like a big field behind us because we were more in the country, and I remember looking out and like I thought I saw something, but I can't recall what it was.
Ooh, creepy.
But that's like my biggest tornado memory. And ever since then, like whenever I'd watch like PBS or something as a kid, and then they'd have the little banner that like say like the National Weather Service or even like a radio thing or whatever the hell, whenever they had that like little beep come on, that just like startled the shit out of me. And to this day I don't like it. I don't like
It's a scary noise.
It's a scary noise on the TV and on the radio both. I don't like it. That's like my least favorite noise in the world.
I went to my basement a few times with like all of our pets and family and our little crank radio, crank flashlights, and some non-perishable food just in case, but it was never really like super serious, or at least I didn't understand it to be super serious, and I don't think it really was like where we lived, 'cause they were usually out just in the country. We could see the funnel cloud, we could see kind of where it was going, but it was still miles away from our actual town, which was good because we were kind of in a valley in Nebraska, and it kind of just went around us, which was lucky. But Davis over here goes out chasing them.
He does. We had a trampoline outside, and I remember it blew away, like really, really, really far away. Like, and then I remember like after that, my dad he went back and got it, and then we like bolted it down to the ground. Like it was like up in somebody else's yard. Like it was.
Wow.
We had a large plastic swimming pool blow into our yard during one of the tornado warnings.
Wow, that's awesome.
I remember there was a tornado warning a long time ago. Is when your brother Maddie was in summer baseball.
Oh man.
And he was in baseball practice, and that was like the biggest hail I've ever seen, and it was that softball size hail that hit your brother in this like top right shoulder blade, and he had that massive welt on his back for like a month.
I forgot about that. It's probably why he has shoulder problems
After that tornado storm. Honestly, yeah.
Wow.
There's currently multiple tornado warnings right now at the kind of tri-state area between Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, and Tennessee because of the inland hurricane.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we're supposed to get effects of that later this weekend up in North Carolina. Like just like rain, heavy rain and wind, but I think it's crazy that can travel all the way up here. Right now it's in Louisiana, and
it's crazy how far it's gone. Like it was just less than 48 hours ago we were waiting for it to hit Houston, and now it's all the way in Memphis.
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, and that's where it's dropping some of those tornadoes.
Oh man.
if anybody has the Radar Scope app, there's a really disturbing image that you can get on here. So the way Radar Scope works is you pay $10 to use it a year, and it's just like the most accurate radar you can get on your phone. And you can tap each individual radar station throughout the country. It gives you like a little map, and you zoom and you tap which radar station you want to look at. So
from anywhere in the country?
Yeah, just to get the most accurate radar at that spot. So I was watching the hurricane come in, and I hit this one radar station in Louisiana, and you can see the hurricane make land, and then the image stops. So if a radar station is no longer working, they show up as red icons, and if they're working, they show up as gray icons. So there's 2 stations in Louisiana that still show up as red icons because they were destroyed. And if you tap on them, they'll still show you their most recent radar image, which is the hurricane making landfall. So you can go there right now and you can see the last image it got before it was destroyed. And when reality, the hurricane is all the way up in Tennessee now.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's a very disturbing thing to see.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's like some like found footage type stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Found radar. Found radar pictures.
Wow, that's crazy. Are there any more places that are red, or still just in Louisiana that have?
It's just those 2 places.
Wow. Okay.
There are other places in red, but I'm guessing those stations are down for other reasons. Sometimes they'll just go down, but
yeah,
the ones in Louisiana have been down for over a day now.
Wow.
You can still see the hurricane making its initial landfall.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It's 18 hours and 42 minutes old. It's the last time that radar took a signature. Before.
When did they upload normally, or update normally?
Every 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's pretty freaky.
Do you have your little wind thing set up at your apartment?
No, we have an anemometer.
I guessed.
A barometer is for getting atmospheric pressure, which is just as useful. All that's set up at my parents' house in their backyard.
Oh, okay.
Colorado had its fair share of landspout tornadoes at the beginning of the summer, right before everybody moved here. All my roommates in June, just at the end of May, there was Weld County Head, between Weld County and one of the counties near Colorado Springs, south of Denver, a total of 8 tornadoes within like a 4-hour period.
Oh my God! Wow.
Wow. I mean, that's more than this movie.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, so it was like F1, F3, F4, F5?
They said the second tornado in the film that splits his sisters around the flooded one, they said F2, possibly F3.
Okay.
And then the tornado they find up on the hill where Bill says you can't explain it, you can't predict it, legendary quote, was an F3. And then movie theater was an F4, and then the ending was an F5. So it's potentially F1 through 5, or F1, 2 F3s, F4, F5. No F0s.
Okay. So they do classify them as F0s if, like, even back then?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's just
I never knew that.
That's just the weakest of the weak, and basically all of Colorado's tornadoes are F0s.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good to know.
And the ones, the time in 2016 when our hometown had 3 tornadoes just outside, 3 tornadoes at once, that was a crazy day.
Wow.
Those were all F0s, even though one of them hit a farmhouse and killed a bunch of cattle.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, so the bar's set pretty high with tornado damage.
Yeah, they're like, cattle, that don't matter. F0.
Yeah, and actually on the subject of storm chasing, there's a recently released video game on the computer that I have just been playing so much, and it is a dedicated storm chasing game. I've been waiting for this game
Oh my God.
for like 10 years. Literally, you start out with a car, you can upgrade your car, you can like change your car, and you have to like purchase a radar. You can upgrade your radar, you upgrade your technology and stuff in your weather station, and you follow the radar in your truck. And it's an open world game where you just drive through these different like Great Plains towns, and you have to follow the radar signatures, and you have to find this. You can be in sunny weather, and you get to a town, and you approach this like big supercell, and the tornado will form. And there's different types of tornadoes, And there's different ways to get money in the game. You can either take pictures of tornadoes and sell them to the virtual news
Get corporate
stations.
sponsors.
You could get corporate sponsors, and you can set probes in the paths of tornadoes.
Oh my god.
Sounds amazing.
Multiplayer game, so I've been playing it with a couple of my friends. It's a really fun game. It's a very realistic game, not in terms of graphics, but in terms of like you could flatten cars' tires
technology.
if you drive too crazy, or you can get stuck in the mud, or these different things. And the way the tornadoes form is based on a weather accurate simulation.
Oh my god.
You really never know where it's going to happen.
What's it called?
Storm Chasers.
Storm Chasers!
It's an early access game. I think it's literally $10.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Amazing.
And it's developed by one person.
Oh my god. Was it
Wow.
you? Did you do it?
Yeah,
No,
was
I
it?
wish. I wish.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Never before
Yeah.
revealed it until on this podcast that Davis is the one who created the game.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's $12.99 right now on Steam, and I think it's
Okay.
only for Windows. So if you have a Windows computer, you should cop it because it doesn't require a whole lot of like specs and stuff. It's a really good game.
Well, maybe it's time for me to get a Windows.
Oh, and you can also chase against other players in sort of a Bill versus Jonah situation where whoever gets the data first wins.
Oh,
Go against
snap.
the Nightcrawlers.
Exactly.
Oh my
Extreme versus Nightcrawler.
Yes.
god.
Of
That's
course, you'd
awesome.
always be the extreme.
Of course.
Yeah, so Jake, how did
Yes,
you start
Maddie?
calling him the extreme?
Do you not know, or are you just doing this just for the benefit of the
Well,
listeners?
I kind of don't really remember.
Okay, it was a dull gray Thursday.
Oh my god. You say everything is a dull gray. Why can't it be happy?
Fine. It was a day of sunshine and
Colorado has so many days of sunshine. I'm sure it was not dull gray.
fine. It was a day of absolute sunshine. I skipped.
Eternal sunshine?
Yes, eternal sunshine, like you. I skipped merrily through the grass and okay. Seriously. So Davis, correct me if I'm wrong because I might get some details wrong. So
Sure.
seriously, please chime in and correct me. So Davis and I actually met before school started. On my first day in the building, he and his family were taking a tour, and me and my mom and my sister were taking a tour. And we met, and we're just like, hey, we're both cool. Let's be friends. And it happened a little differently than that, but that's the basic gist.
Hey, you're cool. I'm cool.
And one of the first things that I remember we talked about was movies that inspired us when we were young, and one of them was Twister. And I think that was more once school started that we talked about that. But I remember one day during our post class we were just talking about Twister, and then so we all had Snapchat, and when we were making our Snapchat group of us and our friends, I gave everybody a nickname because that's what I do with Snapchat, because on my contacts I have their real names, and on Snapchat I have nicknames. And Davis's at first was, you can't explain him, you can't predict him, but that wouldn't fit. So then what happens, and I'm like, what else could I do that conveys that Davis is connected to Twister? And I'm like, oh, the extreme. And then for some reason in person, sometimes whenever I see Davis, I'll just go, hang on. The extreme, it's the extreme. And
In all the public places.
yes, it's the one time I'm not socially awkward, but then it's awkward for Davis. So
The one time. Oh gosh. Yeah, Davis
So-
is like, oh god, it's me.
I
I'm
think the
the
first time I did it was in a restaurant, and I think your mom, it was my mom, your mom, and then us. And I was like, the extreme, and like you weren't even quoting the movie, but you're like, Jake, don't start that shit.
Which is
And I'm
also
like-
a quote.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what you just said.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
was
that's-
just like,
that's-
if he sees him across the school,
That's
He
what
would
I
yell.
do. I
he
still
would
do that.
double finger point to him.
I do.
Get down, like crouched
I
down,
do.
do a lunge.
I do.
Full,
At him.
full dusty.
Yeah,
I
full
go
dusty.
full dusty. I
There was
absolutely
a
do.
moment where I knew Jake and I were going to be somewhere at the same time. I don't remember if it was class or if it was a show or if it was some event. And I remember telling you, like, or maybe I texted you or something. I told you to not do that or something.
and I sort of listened.
You sort of listened, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because that's completely unlike me. That's not something I do. But then for Davis, I make an exception. I don't know why.
Just scream at him.
I just scream at him, like we'll be on opposite sides of the room, and,
Yeah.
and like literally like or
Yeah,
or
you
even,
really would definitely not do that with anyone else.
No. No, I would not. So that's that story.
Anyway.
Fun fact: this was the first movie ever released on DVD.
Really?
What?
Wait,
No
Davis, you
kidding.
didn't know that? Holy shit! I knew
had no
something about
idea.
this movie you don't.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
Are
Yeah.
you
That's
kidding me?
I'm not
That's
kidding
actually
you.
really crazy.
I'm not kidding
Wow.
you. Which makes sense when you think about it because of.
And I have the DVD. That makes me feel very special.
That's awesome. I'm glad I made you feel special.
Do you have the DVD?
I have the Blu-ray. I used to have the DVD, and then I
Oh,
upgraded
Blu-ray.
because I went to Walmart and I saw it for like $6, and I'm like, of course I'm gonna
Hell
get
yeah.
this.
Hell
like
yeah.
one of my
I would get
favorites.
that on Blu-ray. I would definitely get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's what we watched in Will's class for sure. Was because it was definitely like
Yeah. High def?
It's funny because this is a movie that I've watched on literally TV, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, streaming. I've watched it on so many formats.
Yeah. It's a classic on all forms.
I mentioned earlier how I'd seen this movie in school twice. The second time I watched it was the end of, I believe it was 6th grade, I'm pretty sure, and it was science class. And it was like the last day of school, so our teacher was like, okay, pick a movie and we'll watch it. And the movie that they chose happened to be Twilight Eclipse. And me, like I said, I don't feel like watching it today. And our teacher also had a VHS of Twister. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the other science classroom and just get out the old TV and watch Twister. And that's what I did. And one of my friends was like, I'll watch it with you. And and then I actually forgot about it until today, and I texted them, and I'm like, "Hey, do you remember when we watched Twister? Like, we were the only two watching it." And then
You were allowed to do that. You're like, I just don't really want to watch Twilight, so I'm gonna go watch Twister.
Yes, and the reason was because that teacher was very lenient.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think you should have made everyone watch Twister.
I tried, but everybody wanted to watch Eclipse, which I mean, I'd rather watch Twister. I like Eclipse but I'd rather watch Twister any day of the week.
I do enjoy Eclipse as
Yes.
part of that saga. It might be my favorite one actually, but
Is that Twilight?
Yes,
Twilight.
That's the middle one,
the
directly
third
in
one.
the middle.
Mhm. Yeah, it is.
Because every last book in a book series has to be a 2-part movie.
Thanks,
Oh, wow,
Harry
there's-
Potter.
There's 5 Twilight movies?
Yes.
There are.
Well, okay.
Breaking Dawn is 2 films?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Okay, as long as we're on the topic, Harry Potter had a reason to do it. Like thematically, it works as a 2-part movie.
Definitely.
And to me, it's like a 4-hour movie, but that doesn't matter. And I haven't read the other books besides the first one, but I'd even argue with Twilight it makes sense because the last book is like 800 pages or something like that.
It kind of has a natural breaking point. So, yeah, I kind of understand how they did it in 2 parts, but I definitely think they thought that they just needed to spread it out like Harry Potter did,
Yes, and then and then Hunger Games is only like 400 pages. So why that last one was 2 movies, I'll never know. And I never saw.
Does
and
not
I never
make sense
saw.
to me.
I never saw Mockingjay anyway. I saw the first 2 though.
I think I saw part 1 of Mockingjay and I was like, this is just politics in a dystopian world and I am not a fan.
And then once they made The Hobbit, which is even shorter, into 3 movies,
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
okay, Hollywood,
Yeah,
stop.
nope. I fell asleep in the theater to the first Hobbit movie and I didn't see the rest of them.
Maddie, I forgot this part. We started the first Hobbit on a bus. And if you know where I'm going with this, just hold
On a
on.
bus?
Just hold on. Hold on. So on a trip to a water park, our teacher put on the first Hobbit movie just for something to watch, and I was like really bored by it. So then like nobody was really watching it, so she turned it off and turned on another movie called The Great Outdoors, and that was when I met our dear lovely Lucy Deakins.
Woohoo! Thank God.
Yeah, thank God, absolutely, because thank you for turning that off. So,
if you're enjoying this podcast, you can subscribe, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere where you get your podcasts, and it really helps if you rate and review us so that we are more visible on those websites, and let us know how we're doing. So thank you. We appreciate your feedback and your listening. I also wanted to mention we are opening up our Gmail account for anyone to send us their problems they're having right now, and I think we're going to start having a section at the end of each podcast where we read some listener problems, and then we can prescribe some movies that might bring you some solace or try to help you as best we can as your therapists.
So the email is filmtherapypodcasts@gmail.com. Go there and send us an email. Even if all you want is ice cream at 3 a.m, we can't supply you with that, but we can listen to your problems, no matter how minuscule they are. And if they're bigger problems, then maybe you'll go want to see an actual therapist. But we're a good place to start when it comes to film-related problems. My voice just cracked during that. Shit.
Yeah, so email us your problems at filmtherapypodcast@gmail.com.
What, my quiet whisper wasn't good enough?
No, because I couldn't hear what you're saying.
Oh, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna bring us back in here and
Anyway,
did you guys watch anything this week of note?
yeah, I watched 3 movies this week.
Oh, good.
I watched a movie called Scent of a Woman, and it's Al Pacino. He plays a blind retired lieutenant colonel, and then Chris O'Donnell is like at a prep school, and then he takes a job of taking care of Al Pacino for the weekend, and then they end up going to New York and like learning from each other. It was really good. Also, it stars Philip Seymour Hoffman is in one of the roles. So,
hey, okay.
Dusty himself.
Yeah.
And then have either of you seen that or heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, no.
How about you, Davis?
We watched clips of it in one of my classes, but it didn't tell me anything about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a dialogue-driven movie.
Okay.
And then in my continuation of wanting to watch all of David Lynch's films, I watched his first feature, which is Eraserhead, on the Criterion Channel, which makes me sound prestigious.
No, I'm so jealous. I really want to watch that. I've been wanting to watch it ever since it was first mentioned in film school like 3 years ago, and I still haven't watched it.
It was super trippy. I definitely enjoyed it, but it's definitely my least favorite of his other movies. Because Mulholland Drive is just amazing. Blue Velvet is exquisite. And then, of course, Fire Walk with Me, which just resonates with me so deeply. So that's always, I don't think anything is going to top that for my personal ranking of Lynch films.
How many other movies does he have?
He has 11 feature films. Well, 12 if you count Twin Peaks: The Return. And I have seen 5. So 5 out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm gonna count Twin Peaks: The Return just so it's an even number, and I'll say I've seen half. 6 out of 12.
Okay, nice.
So that will continue. And then the last movie I watched, and I don't want to talk about this, so I'm just gonna bring it up quick. Ever since last December, there's been a little movie, I'm sure you've both heard of it, that I saw and was in denial about, and then slowly came to the realization that it had deeply hurt and disappointed me and made me feel empty, which I never thought this kind of movie would do. And it was Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
I knew that's what you were going to say because that's how it made me feel.
Davis, you're absolutely right. So I finally watched it for the 3rd time. The reason I saw it twice in theaters was because of commitments with friends to close out seeing the trilogy. Even my least favorite Star Wars movie, which is Episode 2, it doesn't leave me feeling empty, and this movie makes me feel empty and hollow inside, and that's something I never thought a Star Wars movie would do, and it's something a Star Wars movie should never do. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch it again. But I'm glad I watched it again because I've been wanting to watch it for about a month now, and I'm like, I need to get over this movie. There were three things I needed to get over from my past, and that was one of them. So hopefully now I'm finally. It's only been a day, so I'm still kind of in the recovering phase, but hopefully I can get over that stupid movie and I can just move on with my life.
Yeah.
Because I felt invalidated and empty after watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
Although I was also in denial, so.
Well, and you saw it in theaters and you're expecting a great thing and then it was not great, and that's
Not at
always
all.
a bad feeling when you leave the theater. You're like, why did I even come here?
Yeah. Anyway, I want to find a Twister quote that I wrote down so I can make myself feel better about things. Because even talking about the movie for 2 minutes, I'm already feeling like, the fresh wounds are getting some salt in them.
Oh.
Another quote from Twister I really like. It's after, I think, the first tornado. I think it's the F1, because it's when they're under the bridge. And then the truck gets taken by the tornado, but Joe and Bill are fine. And then Joe's like, where's my truck? And then it lands right in front of Melissa and just scares the everlasting crap out of her. And then Joe's like, oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, I love that part.
And then there's Jonas's driver, who has so many great quotes, like, gotta admire their spirit. Looks like they were going to intercept it. Maybe we should do what he says.
Yeah,
And then-
like he was the voice of reason for Jonas,
And then Jonas
is like,
doesn't listen, and then he dies. And then he gets reincarnated as Wesley in the past. In a
Oh
storybook.
wait, no.
Okay, then. As you wish.
Oh my god,
I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
we got cows.
Oh, and I forget his name, but it's when they're at Aunt Meg's. This is the one I was trying to find, but I got lost in all the ones I wrote down. When the one dude's like, I'd like to get struck by lightning once. You know, see what it feels like.
Me too.
There was the moment when I'm like blanking on the fiance's name.
Oh, Melissa.
Melissa, what a sin. Where they place a plate with steak in front of Melissa and she's looking at it like she's never seen meat before. Like she's like, what? Like she looks like terrified. She looks like disgusted. Like, what is this? Is this meat? It's awful.
Sorry, guys, I'm a vegetarian.
They just really went all out to make us not like her.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely made us hate her, which
Yeah.
was, in reality, she probably wasn't a horrible person. Definitely not. But
Seems
she
pretty
just,
reasonable to me.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
They're like tornadoes, and she's watching her husband like fall back in love with somebody in front of her.
yeah, yeah. She just, and then she breaks up with him so like nonchalantly. She's just like, I understand. I'll just go. It's okay.
Yeah.
She does it in such a mature way that it really
Yeah.
makes you like rethink it, and then on rewatch you're like, I don't hate her as much, just because the way she exits is just so like she's like, okay, I know where I'm supposed to be, and it's not here.
Yeah, it kind of breaks her character and script, I feel like, because the way that she's built up to be up until that point, we expect her to make this whole scene like, oh my god, Bill, I can't believe you've done this, but she doesn't. She's really realistic about it, So
Yeah.
I think she's redeemed by that for sure.
Yeah.
She even tries to like console her clients in the middle of like a life-threatening situation.
Oh,
You gotta
yeah.
hold on. We both just gotta hold on.
Davis, did you watch anything this week?
Besides the all three Dark Knights, just today, I rewatched Ford v Ferrari,
Ooh.
which is a great film.
It was a lot better than I expected. I enjoyed it.
Leaves you heartbroken and amazed, and it's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
I just watched the Netflix original called Project Power, and the only reason I watched it is because Casey Neistat is in it, and I like him.
Oh, really?
He has a very small role in it. It's by the same two directors who made Nerve, which was that Dave Franco
Yeah.
and
Emma Roberts.
Emma Roberts
Mhm.
film. So this movie is about a pill. It's like an underground, almost like a drug dealing kind of situation, like organized crime, but instead it's this pill that gives you like 20 seconds of this like crazy superpower. It's like if you could turn into the Hulk for 20 seconds,
Oh.
basically.
Ooh.
And it's with Jamie Foxx, and it's not a great film. It's an entertaining film as much as like a crazy action supernatural film can be. But I mainly just watched it because Casey Neistat's in it for about 5 minutes, and I've kind of made it this thing to just watch all these awful films that he's just in for a little bit. So he was in Nerve for a little bit.
Oh, he was.
That's awesome.
He was in this other film called Airplane Mode, which is directed by Logan Paul.
Oh.
and
What?
and it's all of these
What?
Vine stars
Hold
on
on.
this airplane that's gonna crash, and they have to save the airplane in case Neistat's a TSA agent. So watch it.
Oh
I
my
think-
god.
I think that
Where did
sounds
you
like
find
the
that?
worst
It's-
movie I've ever heard
it's
of
it's
in my life.
it's a terrible movie. It's literally Logan Paul and King Batch, and they have to
oh my
keep
God.
an
Who the
airplane
fuck
from like
is King
crashing.
Batch?
He's the guy that pulls out the oversized spoon.
Oh god.
I'm sure it's kind of a current meme right now. That's like how the meme community's digging up dead memes.
Why is
Yeah.
that a meme and not someone saying, "I gotta go, Julia. We got cows"? Like that'd be a much better meme.
Because we ain't in the 90s anymore, Jake.
It's too cool and artistic. But yes, Airplane
Fine.
Mode, directed by Jake Paul, starring Jake Paul.
Directed? Wait,
is it,
where? Is
which
that
one
on
directed
YouTube
it?
Red?
Is it Logan?
I don't
or
know
Jake?
where. I honestly don't know where you can watch it.
Oh my God.
I watched it on. I think I watched it on Prime Video. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Davis, which one directed it? Which Paul? Jake or Logan?
Sorry, Logan Paul. Yeah, yes, that's correct. Logan Paul, not Jake Paul.
Oh boy.
God. No, it's just an awful movie. I think David Dobrik's in it, and like Lele Pons.
Oh my
This
god.
Just all of the Vine stars
This
are in it.
this honestly sounds like a movie that would just destroy me for a week, and I would just sit in my room and just be crying, and I would lose all hope in cinema.
You know the old classic film Airplane?
Yes.
And can you think of the poster for that where it's like the airplane and it's like in a knot, it's like tied in a knot and it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that same style of poster, but it's an airplane dabbing.
Oh my god.
I think I might have just lost a few brain cells.
I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it has a 2.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh my god. I need to watch it.
Davis, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you seen the movie Sleepwalkers?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Because I was going to say, if you've seen Airplane Mode and you have not seen Sleepwalkers.
I actually have seen the film Sleepwalkers.
Thank
Oh,
God.
like
it's
the
amazing.
old film.
Yeah,
right?
thank God.
It's like the freaking werewolf or whatever.
Yeah.
And
like Where
Clovis the
Cat.
cat.
Yes. I have seen that movie. I've seen that movie once
Not enough.
for purposes of recording. I was drunk.
That's a good way to watch it.
I've seen it drunk for sure. I've seen it sober and I've seen it drunk, and any way you watch it, it is absolutely amazing. It's
Well,
transcendent.
Can't
It's
wait
1,000
to watch it
times
again.
better than whatever the hell you're talking about, Airplane Mode.
Airplane mode. Oh my god.
I will never think of Airplane Mode the same way again. Whenever I'm on a plane, I'm just going to think of Davis telling us about the Vine movie.
I just remember Stephen King having a cameo in that film.
What?
In which one? In Sleepwalkers or Airplane Mode?
Sleepwalkers.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
me
yeah,
too.
Sleepwalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because what he says is, I'm not taking the fault for this one. This isn't on me. And I'm like, you showed up in a movie you wrote about where your cat's an incest, so you do
Yeah,
you,
he-
I guess.
He's the one who's messed up about this. So.
And the guy from City of Lost Children's in that movie too.
Ron
Perlman.
Yeah.
Oh, uh-huh.
He's the
That's
creepy
the only
officer
thing I
that
know
gets
him
his
from.
arm bent back.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know who
but
else?
yes.
You know who else was in that movie?
Who?
Ferris Bueller's parents,
Oh.
and also Shelley from Twin Peaks, who
And
is amazing.
also that guy from Charmed.
Charmed, yeah, and also the greatest cop in cinema history.
And also the mom from Little Vampire.
Yes, because she's the mom in. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Why did you
Yeah.
remind me they're the same? Little Vampire's like a wholesome movie, and then Sleepwalkers, it's like she's also the mom.
I know, it's like nasty.
She's the serial killing mom going around saying one-liners, and it's the greatest thing of all time ever. It's absolutely the whole movie is just perfect. It's flawless. when October, maybe even before, but when October comes, we'll probably do an episode on that because it's so.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Anyway.
What I was gonna say was, if you hadn't seen Sleepwalkers but you had seen Airplane Mode, I'm like, okay, go watch it right now. Not even kidding.
Well, now it's your turn to see Airplane Mode.
Oh no.
Yeah,
no.
definitely. I'm
The
gonna
whole
watch it.
movie is about Logan trying to lose his virginity, but not crash an airplane, but also go to a convention called #Tagacon.
Oh my god.
This sounds like a movie that
Are you
encompasses
serious?
everything I hate with a
This is
passion.
real.
Oh my,
This is
Oh
a
my
real
God.
I
feature
swear.
length.
oh my god. It's just ridiculous how they can.
God,
They
no.
just have the money to make whatever shit film they want.
The fact that this exists actually physically hurts me.
Yeah, it kind
Like,
of does.
like watching it, I'd probably throw up and and just hate all of humanity for 2 hours or however long it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Oh,
At least you know it's out there.
Yeah, now we know.
I don't watch it accidentally thinking it's like Airplane 3 or something like that, and then I'm like,
Right,
oh
right.
no.
Classic cinema. So this week I watched this movie called The Dirt on Netflix. It was about biopic, however you say that, with the band Motley Crue. And it's like, kind of like the Rocket Man, kind of like the Bohemian Rhapsody type films that have come out recently about famous artists. And it's crazy. It was like partly written by like the whole Motley Crue and produced by the whole Motley Crue, everyone, the 4 members of that band. And
Oh. Okay. I just know that Pete Davidson's in that movie.
he is, yeah. He
that's awesome.
and the guy who plays Gail Bedecker on Breaking Bad are the only 2 actors I recognized in there.
Oh, I think Machine Gun Kelly's in that.
Oh, okay.
Because that was when Pete Davidson and Machine Gun Kelly got all buddy and just were in a bunch of movies together.
Okay,
Fascinating.
okay. Yeah, it came out a little bit ago. But it was really good. It was crazy. It was like their like partying style, and then them getting into too many drugs, and then them like going through such hardships in their life and coming back together as a band. It was just like insane.
Wow.
Really interesting. And I didn't know anything about Motley Crue before I watched it, so
Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
yeah, it makes you appreciate them a lot.
Okay,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine Gail Bedecker being in that.
Yeah, he's like their manager.
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's great. I think that's the only thing I watched since Sunday, other than TV shows. Yeah.
What TV shows are you watching?
I'm getting really into The Crown right now,
Oh, nice.
and then conjunctively, the docuseries The Royal House of Windsor.
Oh, cool.
So I started getting ahead in The Royal House of Windsor, like ahead of the storyline of The Crown. So I had to go back to The Crown, and I'm gonna catch up to where they are in The Royal House of Windsor, because I was like, I don't want spoilers, because I don't really know exactly what happens in Queen Elizabeth's life. So
Queen Liz.
and Queen Liz, Lilibet, and I want to watch like her go through it in The Crown, because it's portrayed so well, and the acting is amazing, the writing is amazing, the editing is amazing. It's just so good. So yeah, I'm gonna catch up to that in The Crown, and then keep watching the docuseries. I've been into like the kind of royal docuseries. I watched The Last Tsars, that one of the Russian czars, which was really good and related to the Windsors, because Nicholas Romanov was cousins with King George V. So they looked exactly the same, which is crazy. And so they're kind of related in that sense, and that's what kind of kicked off this whole royal European interest for me.
That's awesome.
So I've been into that, yeah. I guess, Jake, should we share our prescription for next week?
I don't know what our prescription is.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to surprise you.
Oh, heck yeah. I am ready.
I'm excited. So I have chosen the movie for next week. I wanted to choose something that's on Netflix for people to watch, and
Although, as far as we know, by the time this actually gets on air, it might be off Netflix. Who the fuck
It's
knows?
been on Netflix for a long time, so I assume it will still be on there. But
Okay.
It is called Frances Ha, and it stars Greta Gerwig, and directed by Noah Baumbach. And I watched it a long time, not a long time ago, but maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and really thought it was unique, and I think you'll enjoy it. Davis, have you seen it?
I have not.
I know your mom introduced it to me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Judy did, yeah. And
Sounds like a Judy film.
it's good. It's kind of like about a friendship between two girls, and it's in black and white. It's kind of artsy.
Ooh, I'm
and
intrigued.
yeah, I think you'll like it, and I'm excited to discuss it and watch it again. And I'm excited that it's on Netflix, so it's readily available for those who have Netflix, which is a lot of you. So
Yeah. I'm really excited to see this. Actually, I'm always excited to see movies I haven't seen.
yeah. So we want to thank Davis so much for being our
Davis.
first guest today.
It's always a pleasure.
This was so fun.
Thank you guys for having me on.
I miss you a lot.
I miss you too.
As well. I miss you as well.
Thank you.
It's
And,
the life's a little more empty now.
Oh. Go home and watch Frances Ha on
Stop
Netflix.
saying go home. What if they're already home? Gosh.
And thanks for joining us on Film Therapy this week. And I
as
hope you have
always.
a great week ahead of you.
Have a fantastic week, and if you need any therapy, you can always go back and listen to our previous episodes. Or if you want to send something to our email, it's filmtherapypodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, please do. Looking forward to that. So, yes, thank you, Extreme. Watch Twister if you haven't, and we'll see you next week.